Hey everyone, Matt Lanfair here with Primary and Secondary. It's a late night. We're playing with lights. We shot all day. Now it's nighttime. It's dark. It's time to break out the weapon lights and the flashlights and, you know, all that good stuff. I am joined with Carl.
For InRange TV.
And
Jason, Oregon Lead Farmer.
yes. So basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using all kinds of lights, from fairly dim weapon lights to some latest, greatest, high output, cool guy.
You know, it's really interesting because, I
Flashlights.
mean, the original weapon lights that were issued were like, what, 60 lumens or something like
Yep.
that? Yeah.
Yeah,
And they were
60 lumens.
they were incandescent units, essentially, with little
Yeah.
flip-over IR lenses.
Yeah.
And how things have changed is dramatic to the point where I've kind of given up trying to figure it out. And I think there's a bit of a neurotic approach to lights to a degree sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's why I don't touch it with InRange, but I think there's a lot to be said here because there's a lot I don't understand about it, because there's like spill and hot spots and lumens and
Temperature.
candelas and temperature, and all those things apply to differences in how the light works, right?
yeah.
So you might have something that's technically brighter, but maybe the warmth of the light would affect someone differently.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So basically what we have some cones marked out for us to know where we're going to be. We have an esteemed panel of
judges.
staff. Yes.
Judges.
They're wearing different types of clothing. They have different things in their hands. And we're going to try different lights as we move backwards to see, well, what's really helping us identify what's in people's hands. Or can we even identify that they're even people? Are they blending in with their environment too well because of what they're wearing, and the output of our lights are too weak? So we're about to see. I'm kind of excited about this. This is going to be cool.
I do have one question, actually. Is there a point where the light is actually too bright?
I think we're going to find out.
Okay.
I don't think we've reached it yet,
Mhm.
but we'll
Okay.
see.
Yeah. Interesting.
I think we do have a couple sun flashlights.
Mhm.
Basically, it's the sun in the flashlight.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
that's going to be a good time. So hopefully these guys did remember their sunscreen or their flashlights.
Yeah, no doubt.
So this is going to be a good time.
We're recording at 1/30th of a second, f2.8, ISO 16,000, and the white balance is set to 4,000 Kelvin.
Okay, we are done. I thought that was really cool. Farmer and I, we kind of, well, we
Brutalized the panel.
did. It was kind of mean, but we chuckled the entire time.
Yes.
What'd you guys think?
I'll say that being on the receiving end of this, and I want to hear what everyone else has to say, is an unpleasant experience. Literally, like you're kind of kidding, but you're not, because there were a number of those lights that were painful to experience. Like it's like I don't think it literally felt warm, but it feels like you're feeling like warmth.
Yep.
And also, what was interesting was that there were lights that you had that were not as bright as others, but on the receiving end seemed more brutal to me receiving them. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's what you want. I don't know. Like, there's two things that maybe you want to do with a light. Do you want your adversary to be completely blinded and disoriented?
Absolutely.
Or do you want to be able to identify better? Or do you want something in the middle, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So was there one specifically that was more painful than the others?
The owl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, cloud defensive is burning retinas.
Yeah.
But why is that? What's the stats on the owl?
It's with the owl, you're looking at 1,200 lumens ish.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's a little bit more if you put a meter on it, and between 50 and 52,000 candela. It's got a lot of intensity, even with the warmer tint. It doesn't look as bright, but it's still putting out a lot of light.
I don't know. There was something about that because you had lights that were later brighter, but that thing hurt the most.
Yeah.
Something that we were talking about as we sat here and got blinded over and over is, would you be able to shoot back? And the clear answer for some of the lights was definitely not, because your instinct is to get away from it. Even when you're just sitting here in a low stress environment, like you don't want to have it pointed at you. It feels like a threat in itself.
Yeah, so we were messing around a little bit with the dummy gun here, just the blue Glock gun, and we would try aiming it back towards whoever was shining the light at us, and I personally felt like the 10 and maybe even the 20-yard distance, you would possibly be able to maybe get some hits out there on whoever was holding the light simply by indexing it. But if you did not have a perfect sight picture, you started getting a lot of reflection off of the slide, off of the different parts of the sights. Getting out anywhere past that would be, in my opinion, quite difficult to shoot, especially if the person behind that light was also shooting, because they're going to have such a better view being behind the light rather than in front of it. So
I would say unless someone's specifically trained to resist the uncomfort of being faced with the light, it would be hard to know what to do. I think your physiological reaction would be to shun away from it.
Absolutely.
But if you were hardened and able to deal with that, I still think you would have to fire in the direction of, but not necessarily direct fire.
Yeah.
It'd be very hard to pinpoint your fire. It would
Yeah.
be like I'm shooting at that light source, but not necessarily exactly know what I'm aiming at. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
and you have to remember too that you're doing that at the same time somebody's shooting back at you from behind the light that can clearly see exactly what they're shooting, and
They're
it's
in
not
control.
dealing with that
Yeah.
discomfort.
You'd be way behind the curve, no doubt.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think it's a very lazy statement to say someone could just shoot at you. You know, you're highlighting yourself by turning a light on. That's just a very,
Well,
there's not a lot of thought put in that.
Yeah.
comment.
I think there is thought from that. I think that's thought based on the old lights. I think there's lore there, and that's not necessarily lore. Like when we're talking about the old 60 lumen lights, those things you could do that with.
Yeah.
But now with this kind of technology, that's changed. But I think that information wasn't wrong at one point. But I think that the knowledge base hasn't necessarily updated to reflect the current light technology.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So would you say that comment would be more along the lines of the M16 is unreliable because of things that happened decades ago?
Maybe that kind of thing, but I mean, like, if someone was shining one of those old 60 lumen lights in our direction, you could absolutely aim at that and fire
Yeah.
at it. But one of these lights, nope. I think that's where you're getting that from.
Well, and it's similar to what we started out with that old 200 lumen Insight light. The comparison between it and an OWL or a OKW mod light,
It's not even
there
a
isn't any.
comparison.
It's
Literal night and day.
absolutely.
And that lore or myth, it has always bothered me, because if you train with lights, which is not what we're doing tonight, you don't leave it on all the time. It drives me nuts when people say that.
Yeah.
From the, I guess, shining of the lighter's perspective, were there clear indications where you weren't getting enough light on the target to make a shot or to make out
absolutely.
some of these guys because of what they were wearing?
There were several of the lights, especially on the lower end, Actually, I can be much more specific. Once we went to Mod Light and the Cloud Defensive Weapon Light, we could still see distinct silhouettes of every individual that were on this panel.
Yeah.
The other lights, not so much, especially when we got to about 40, 50, when everything started to diffuse.
The old X300U, the one that was discontinued with the old school Scout head to it, it was still good all the way back to 75.
Yeah.
But the newer Scout and the Max Vision, no.
Max Vision, yeah, that everyone blended very quickly with that.
Yeah, I think that was about 40 yards or so when it was done.
And can you also comment on what distances you were unable to identify what was in somebody's hands? Because we had a variety of things from the blue gun to glasses,
Some really
wallet,
shiny.
yeah, things like that. When could you no longer competently, let's say, take a shot because you knew someone had a gun, for example, versus a cell phone?
That's a good question.
That's splitting hairs between a civilian response and a law enforcement response or a military response. And you're also looking at the fact that if I'm going to be at 100 yards with a rifle pointed on somebody that I think may be a threat, I'm going to probably have magnification just because I'm not 100 years old. So with magnification, it changes everything completely. You turn up to even 4 power at 100 at 25. You're looking at the image of a 25-yard target, and you can pick out anything with any of the modern lights.
With that in mind also, that's where the OKW really shined. The much more focused beam from Mod Light. That's we could tell that provided a lot of advantage, even at 100 yards.
Yeah.
Where the others that weren't Mod Light or Cloud Defensive, we didn't even bother going to 100 yards because they weren't able to reach. Sure, they provided a little ambient light, but not sufficient light for us to be able to identify there are actually people here. Like you blended. As a matter of fact, and also you blended too. Believe it or not, even with what you were wearing.
Gravel camo.
Yeah.
Gravel camo.
So,
Yeah. And I forgot Matt's even here.
Everyone did.
Just
Do you think
proves anything is better than UCP?
That's right.
do you
Well,
think
I don't know when a gravel
Can you also compare the Mod Light and the OWL with the Surefire offerings, specifically the dual fuel?
The dual fuel was great up until what, 40 or 50?
40 or 50 yards, and then it started washing everything out.
Yeah.
were there any downsides to those real tight beams like the OKW, like up close, or was there still enough
There was some
light
spill,
bouncing around that you
especially
could
when-
see stuff
yeah,
to the
when we were
sides?
close up, when we were at 10 yards, there was enough spill even from the super focused OKW that I was able to identify, yeah, there are people here, they have things in their hands, and he's a threat. And it was especially funny, and we did kind of joke about it, but there was some truth here. The OKW, there was definitely reflection off his shirt, and when he smiled,
Oh yeah.
Grimaced.
Good
Grimaced.
teeth. Good for you for brushing your teeth. That's very nice.
A pain response.
yeah.
I am sure that every light that you shined at us tonight is a lot better than what most people think of as a flashlight they have laying around their house by a
Absolutely.
large margin.
Yeah.
But I would say that in the contrast of the things that you shined at us, to me, the OWL was the one that was most brutal on this end.
Yeah.
And the Max Vision was the almost laughable. Like when you turned that on, it would look like it was just all spill.
Yeah.
Even from
And-
our
and-
even
yeah.
from this perspective, it looked like just a general like light bulb type of thing. It
Yeah,
didn't have any
absolutely.
focus at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So thanks for joining us. Hopefully you liked this video. I did. I like making it. So make sure you share. Make sure you like. Make sure you subscribe. And in case you didn't already know, primary and secondary, as well as InRange TV, are both demonetized. So all these views and stuff don't really do anything for us to support. What does help support us though is Patreon. Both of us have Patreon that's supporting this whole project. Today we did a lot of videos for both channels where both of our Patreon subscribers are going to be benefiting. And so big thank you to our Patreon subscribers. Again, yeah, make sure you follow, make sure you share. If you really like this stuff, let us know too. Give us some feedback. We love getting together to do these really cool collaborations. So thanks. His teeth are reflecting light. If anyone smiles when you room clear, you're going to be blinded.
Oh dear Lord.